Layton, thank you for taking the time to speak with us this evening. If we can start talking about the immigration process. A lot of Romanians who are coming into Canada are finding a disconnect between the expectations that have been set at home and what they're finding here, specifically professionally. What goes wrong in the selection process at Canadian embassies where newcomers are selected on their high education, on their high level of skill, yet when they're coming into Canada, they're unable to find positions that are equivalent to those skills?
Well, at the moment, Canada is guilty of false advertising. They're simply not telling the truth to people who are coming to the country. The people are awarded points. We have this assessment system for immigrants to come in. People are awarded points for their professional training, their degrees and their education, their experience. And naturally, a person is going to think, well, if Canada's interested in me because of these characteristics, well, then surely they would want me to work using what I bring with me, my knowledge, my background, my experience, when I arrive in Canada. And I think I'll bring my family to Canada and we'll make a new life there using the knowledge that I have. And then they arrive here and find out that they're simply unable to use the skills and qualifications that they have, that there's all kinds of hurdles that they are required to overcome, even to get started. And they were never told about this ahead of time. They weren't given any opportunities to overcome the hurdles ahead of time. And meanwhile, they're having to pay rent for their families, put food on the table. And so they'll take whatever job is required because that's the fundamental. Meanwhile, their family is sitting wondering what kind of a future are they going to have. They were perhaps quite comfortable where they were, or at least had a bright future to look forward to. And suddenly here, the father or mother or both are working in security guard jobs at minimum wage, are driving taxis for long, long hours, and they're never seen at home, and they're exhausted when they are home. They're working on different shifts because, and the family is unable to be together. There's enormous stress. And meanwhile, the immigrant individual is also trying to find out how they can possibly get out of this cycle by getting the training to get them over that hurdle, the certification hurdle, or whatever it might happen to be. Maybe some enhancement of English, although that's often not a problem because you're dealing with people who oftentimes have already a skill in English. So Canada is not serving immigrant communities well because of this false advertising. We condemn it. We think that Canada should, well ahead of an immigrant coming to Canada, explain what they're likely to encounter here and give them opportunities to prepare for that so that when they arrive, they land on their feet. They can make a full contribution to our society. I'm convinced now that we have the best educated taxi driver population in the world. We have more PhDs, more engineers, more accountants, healthcare professionals, scientists driving our taxis, working on security and on night shifts, working in restaurants, cleaning dishes. Any society that wastes that much talent is not going to be very successful. A former New Democratic Party member of the legislature, working out of Seneca College, began to start programs in one of the countries where we had a lot of immigrants coming, where you could get your certification before you came. Perfect. This kind of sensible solution is what we need to put in place in Canada. Also, we need to get rid of the roadblocks to professional certification that exist in too many places. We have 10 provinces and 3 territories, and they all seem to have their own rules. And sometimes those professionals who are there aren't all that urgently interested in changing the rules and the practices to accommodate some of the newcomers, perhaps as much as they should be. The federal Liberals said they would do something about this. They appointed a cabinet-level position to do something about it, but everybody I talk to doesn't see any difference so far. The last thing is, we used to invest a lot in immigrant settlement here. People would come here and there would be lots of English language courses, there would be lots of training and so on available, and also support for immigrants so their incomes weren't so desperately low that they didn't have any time to go to classes, etc. And there was also some care for their kids and their families when they were. That was all cut back by Paul Martin and the Liberals. So while it's true the Liberals were here when the doors were opened, And back in the days of Trudeau, there was support. But nowadays, the doors are opened by the Liberals, but the moment you get here, they're closed.